Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Punchline. I'm Lightning Lou, and to the left of me, we have the ever so talented Dynamite Fletcher. And now, to the left of her would have been Category 5, but unfortunately, he had an emergency, so he could not be here with us tonight.
But as usual, that's not going to stop us. Tonight we have an amazing interview with the founders and creators of the Cryptic brand name, Jack Cryptic and Fur Cryptic. Of course, pre recorded, so you'll see all three of our lovely faces.
So I guess I could ask this in this question's open for the both of you. How did Cryptic come about for the audience and to the uninitiated that don't really know the story?
I.e.,
Fur, would
me.
you like for me to? Fur, would you like to
Yeah.
explain it, or you want me to explain it?
Well, basically, we had a well-established nightclub that was, you know, it was lively and upbeat, and we were approached by Brandon, the owner of Fatality, and asked we would like to do, an exhibition, an event within the club, um, and it'd be a kind of be good for our clientele and also be good for awareness as well around about Fatality itself. Anyway, fast forward, we decided to go ahead with it, and we were going to build like a pop up kind of arena, not even arena, a pop up kind of ring, and then the ring became a building, and then the building then get demolished, and before you knew it, we had a full standing arena. Um, and we had the event, and it was a huge success. And we decided, with Jack's background, who he fought for years, we decided to push forward and actually make a go of it. So originally, it was just supposed to be, one off, but we got so invested and enjoyed it that, you know, it just made sense to keep on going. So that's kind of where it started from initially. But I like I kind of stepped back, and Jack took to do all the fighters as he still does today, and myself and the awesome help we have of Candice, our general manager. Um, it's a well-oiled machine now. So yeah, that's the story of Cryptic in a nutshell.
Heck yeah. Uh, and the heck. Um,
Jack, do you want to elaborate on
Uh,
that?
yeah, I mean, I can add on to it. So pretty much, back whenever the Club Cryptic was established, again, like we were like an EDM techno kind of club. Pretty much played any genre. I would say about 3 months in, we sat there, and then that's when we started making like the Cryptic Circle, like of carrying the name. Um, we sat down and had a talk, me and Fern, where it was like, hey, like with the business, we could tie our names to it. And pretty much it shows because with Fur having a lot of history in business, and then for myself, like networking and stuff like that, it was a pretty good thing that we did. Um, and then coming into Cryptic, we had what for the club around what almost a year, half a year, something like that.
Yeah, about a year and a half roughly.
Yeah. So whenever we got opened up to the idea of the boxing, I thought it was a fantastic idea. Whenever we was brought upon it, we was like, okay, well maybe we can do nightclub versus nightclub, right? Kind of bring like the fun instead of just partying all night, coming into like an actual, like maybe like a little league kind of some sort, or maybe competition. Because see, every business has its competition, right? Whether you're a food business, whether you're in the music industry, whether you're into combat sports, everybody has competition, and we thought it could spice it up. Um, Again, whenever we first started, we were pretty much new. We didn't have fighters on the list. Um, for like actually signed on. We was pretty much asking people to fight. We went to fatalities like, hey, who wants to fight? People started coming out. A lot of thanks to Fur and Candace on the buildings. Um, People like what they built there. And to be fair, like I was just kind of more of like your HR. Like I dealt with people while they handled the business side of things. So Eventually, Cryptic started evolving. We started pulling fighters. We got the voice, my map on for Cryptic, which really does. He really does a lot as well. For the voice, like I've never seen nobody on the grid do the voice like himself, and that's the reason why we applaud him for so much. And pretty much, just over the time with the loyalty of fighters and stuff like that, that's what made pretty much Cryptic up to what it is today.
Heck yeah, I agree. And this is a fantastic place to work for and fight for, and I'm certainly glad to be a part of it.
Most definitely. We're glad to have each and every single one of y'all on the roster as well.
Yeah, a good solid foundation. Um, and it just grows from strength to strength. So it's not just Jack's arena, my arena. It's everybody's, and there's such a good bond between everybody. That it pretty much runs itself. But good team of dedicated fighters and behind the scenes staff that I wouldn't want to be anywhere else.
So where do you see Cryptic in the future?
Oh, Jack, you can answer that one.
All right, so where I see Cryptic in the future. So let's be honest, right? 2025 was a good year. We've had a lot of compliments. We may have had some, criticize feedback here and there, but that was cool because that's what makes us stronger. As far as 2026, we definitely got some motion set. We just got to get some stuff sorted, some meetings and everything. But I can promise you that 2026 is going to be more lively than 2025. You have to think about it as well. Whenever we started in January, we really didn't. I had the knowledge, but Fur was also new to it. Candace was also new to it, and the fast rate that we was able to sync all the information in onto run, whether it's a team or a league, etc. We was able to catch on fast. But see, now that being that we're in motion, it's now to take it to a new level, and that's definitely going to come in 2026.
Okay, so you obviously were a boxer in your day. Um, how was it for when you started to when you finally retired?
All right, so pretty much when I first started boxing, you know, I lost. I had a losing streak. I'll be honest with you. I lost pretty much 3 fights in a row. I wanted to give up, but then again, to myself, I'm a very competitive kind of person, and I was thinking to myself, you can do better. Keep your head strong. Keep fighting. A lot of people worry about losing, right? For myself, it wasn't about the loss or the wins. It was about knowing that I'm a good fighter, knowing that I put the time in, whether it was networking myself, whether it was training, the whole 9 yards. A lot of my fights mainly was pushed by adrenaline. Um, I had people that I was sparring with that I was losing. That whenever I got into a ring with them under the spotlights and fighting in front of a crowd, that I'd pull wins. Um, then eventually I pretty much was on a good head throughout my career. Throughout midways, I sat there and I was thinking to myself, okay, when is this enough? Um, a lot of fighters, they was done by 20 fights. Some of them even goes to 40 or 50 fights. But for myself, you got to think about it. The now era of boxing was different than from when I boxed. When I boxed, you had a fight every other month, if that, unless it got canceled, etc. So pulling off the amount of fights that I have, I would say going towards the end of the career was when I had more of the fast paced fights. Like I had fights back to back to back. One of my goals were actually to hold a belt. It took me 3 times to get it. First two title fights I had didn't really go my way. First fight I had, I believe, was like a 2.5 hour fight. This is before there was um, I guess you could say, really judges. Because in all honesty, how we did it back then was pretty much you would have your 3 to 5 rounds depending on the match and what kind of match it was. If you didn't finish within that, then you kept going until it was pretty much like a no mercy. You keep fighting until the knockout, or 10 count. And kind of going towards the end of the career, I started becoming more of a mentor. I was doubted. I was told that I would never be a trainer. I would never be a championship holder. Stuff like that. And that's what pushed me to a whole new level. And whenever you're fighting, people's going to doubt you. They may see you lose once or twice, and they're like, "Oh, okay, this person ain't going to win." Whenever I won my third belt, I'm sorry, the third time I went for the belt, I actually won the belt. It was a very good title fight. Um, I then had two defenses after that. Then I ended up, putting the gloves up and was like, "Hey, this is pretty much what I've done. I'm ready to call it quits." And now, like, if I box, it's pretty much on a special occasion. I'm pretty sure y'all remember the whole fight between me and Titus Caron. I believe it was like Cryptic 7, I think, where we went 5 rounds, and it was a
It
big
was
fight, for sure.
an
Huh?
epic fight. It was an epic fight for sure.
Oh yeah,
Fun fact,
most.
that was my first boxing event I've ever been to on here.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing as well as like people get like bored of like they're like whenever you get to points, right? A lot of people's like, oh well, they didn't have no knockdowns, da da da. If you think about it, whenever you're going to points, like especially my career, right? If you went to points, it was one hell of a match. Excuse my language, but that was very very an intense fight. First fight I had was 2.5 hours. The second bout that I actually went for, I remember that match. Fur was actually there, and pretty much the guy I fought. He gave me a good fight, but I kind of had to do a lot of rushing on it. Whenever I lost the second time, I was actually becoming, what's the word I can use? I would say like less motivated. I was actually wanting to quit, but it's about just keep pushing, and that's what I've done my whole career. And now, like being able to sit back and see from where I came from, I definitely want to pass it on to the new upcoming boxers.
Okay, so I got another. It's a two-part question actually. Um, what was your greatest, most memorable fight? And number two, what's the one fight you would love to forget?
So that's actually a good question, and thank you for asking me that. So the first fight I would say that was the most honorable. I would say when I won my belt. I won it against a guy named Buck. He was really good, a really good guy, really good fighter all the way around. Definitely was a heavy hitter for sure. Um, that was probably the best night I ever had. I went and celebrated, had a good time because it was such a long term milestone that I was finally able to accomplish. The second fight that I wish I can forget. Um, I'll be honest with you. It'd probably be against Titus. With all due respect, I respect the guy 100%, but lost by 3 points. There was a lot. There was a lot on the line. Whenever you're owner of a boxing venue going against somebody that's also a retired that fought in the same class you did, and then you're sitting there and there's his lot. He's a 3-time champ. I was a 1-time champ. Um, and then kind of going back to it and refacing each other for our third final round, and then losing by 3 points. I would say that the losing by three is what got me the most, because I worked really hard through my training camp and stuff, and then I just couldn't pull the win. But to be honest, you're going to have fights like that, so that would probably be the fight that I definitely wish I could forget, to be honest. So
Yeah, I have at least
I
one
could
fight I'd like
propose.
to forget.
Now, Jack, if I could, if I would could propose a part three to that, if you were to ever lace up again, who would you want to face?
well, to be honest, that's a tough question. Um, if I was a lace up, it would probably be either Brandon Ghost because he's an 8-time champ. I only really try to fight people that's retired, because that's what keeps it hot. But I've had guys ask me around the gym would I ever give them a fight and stuff like that, and I've always told them get 20 fights in. The reason why I say getting 20 fights in is because everybody could be at 10 fights, right? But moving to 20 fights, that's the long term goal. Um, so yeah, it just kind of depends, bro. Like if whoever can get the 20 fights at the arena, or if I go for Brandon Ghost, or maybe some of the OG fighters as well. Like I'm pretty much kind of open to it. It's just depending on the opportunity.
Amen. I think that would be one heck of a fight if you were to take on Brandon.
Oh yeah, most definitely. He's definitely a good fighter, and that's for sure. Just like Titus Caron. I've actually caught wind through a couple friends that some of the old fighters were coming back. Not really too sure though, but we see them. Then anything can pretty much go. Like it could be a legends versus legend kind of thing. Once we get it at Second Life, but whenever you're becoming a boxer and you put that time in and you gain the reputation of that quote unquote retired fighter, it definitely has a lot of reputation to it. A lot of people would love to see you in action. A lot of people would want to get pictures with you, the whole 9 yards. So it definitely is. It's kind of building up a lot.
I could definitely get that. Now, I do have one more question for you.
All right.
Is there any kind of teaser that you can give us that might be happening in 2026?
Oh, you know what? I'll give one. It may not seem big, but it can be big. And the only thing I'm gonna say the word is ref. That's all I'm gonna say.
Are we putting
All for it.
Ludwig in the ring with referee clothing so that we can all like smack him around in the middle of the event too? Like, that would be interesting to see.
Well, you got to think about it. Whenever it comes to business, business eventually grows, right? You start from something small, you go to medium, you go to large, you go to extra large, kind of like sizes, right? You move up, and that is a spoiler that I can say for sure. But the other that's just a small, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, we don't want to put too much information out there now, especially until 2026 arrive. We still got a lot of businesses and stuff we have to do, sit downs, the whole 9 yards. Because the thing we want to do is we don't want to promise something we can't keep. So
Well,
True.
I think if that is just a small, I think I speak for everyone by saying we cannot wait to see what else you guys have in store for Cryptic the next coming up year.
Okay, so I have to ask, since Mike spilt a little bit of beans in his interview, did you seriously run around with a motorcycle gang before Cryptic?
Daisy, I sure did. I sure did.
Oh,
And I absolutely loved it. I loved
Told
it.
you.
I was maybe not always at the station where I was supposed to be because I was too busy wandering off, but I loved it. I really loved it. We done rallies, we done ride outs, information. Um, it was just a good all round time. No drama, believe it or not, an MC that is very rare, but no
wait.
drama. Just a bunch of good friends all hanging out, and yeah, we done some crazy stuff, but all above board and made many fantastic memories, and that's how we've got the lovely Mike today. Um, we've been friends for about maybe 15 years, I'd say. Is that right, Mike?
It's been a very long time, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Um, I've served my time. I think I'm joking, but
I mean,
no. Uh-huh.
sorry. To go
Oh,
from a motorcycle gang that had no drama to coming
uh,
here where we all shit talk each other on the daily and it seems there's drama
right?
every other day.
Don't let her
Have
fool
you
you, though, Daisy. There was that whole incident with your sister, if you remember, when Ayana was being Ayana. Sometimes, lovely. We love Ayana. We absolutely do. But she
For that
ruffles some
many
feathers in the
Mike, I
club.
don't know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I
Wow,
think Mike's just being nice right now.
Narrow
I
it
was just
down
about
to
ready
me.
to say, holy, we got a phantom voice here. Do we have any security? No, I'm joking. But no, really, you deal with a lot. And I mean, most of the cryptic fighters, let's be honest, they are big old macho men, children. But
Yeah,
there are a fair few of us ladies that like to start a bit of drama too.
but the thing is, right? I am one of the most laid back people you can meet. However, I do have a very sharp tongue and I'm not afraid to use it. So when things get a bit leery, then, sometimes you need to just step in a bit. But to be honest, there's never really been anything that no one could handle or, it's like everything, you're always going to have different opinions and things like that. I think what my saving grace is, the majority of people can't understand what I'm saying because of my accent, so I think they just agree.
Yeah, it can be at times quite thick, and you just kind of sit there and go, and
Oh,
then
Yeah.
you're in
when I
IMs
first met
going,
this woman,
what did she
mm-mm.
say?
I've
when
got
I first met her, I was like, Jack, what?
Yeah, there's a good few that have to be my translator, more often than not. But the lovely tree that we have, he struggles every day and still does. I don't know if he'll ever be able to nail it, but it's that's my saving. That gets me out of a lot of situations when they can't understand, and I say, Jack, you need to deal with this. He'll step in.
Yeah.
All right, everything was lost in translation. Cue Jackie.
Yeah. He's got to pick up the pieces. Poor Candace, she spends the majority of the time relaying back to the new starts that come in or just general visitors. And even some of her long term fighters, she'll also do the interpreting for me. So but we get there in the end one way or another.
Hmm. And I mean, for all those that don't really know the Cryptic staff, there is 3 owners, of course, Jackie, or Jack, Fur, and Candace Cryptic. She prefers to stay behind the camera, no matter how many times we nag her that she needs to be in front of it. But
Mhm.
that's for another fight, I guess. She is the general manager. She also does all of the merchandising for our fighters, and I mean, she takes on a lot, just like you guys do.
She does, but that's the thing though, we're very, very grateful for everybody that we have, regardless what your job role position is within Cryptic. We're very, very proud of the guys we have. The loyalty is just it's unremarkable. And I feel that that's really what makes Cryptic, apart from the fact that the fighters work their backsides off and are very, very skilled and motivated, but just the morale alone is is really what Cryptic's all about, and for that I'll be forever grateful for every single one of you, and I can speak on behalf of Jack and Candice for that as well. Um, these are all a good bunch. We wouldn't swap you for the world. Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes when we're all starting drama and bullshit, then you like, just get the fuck out, go away.
That's when the power button comes in, Daisy.
Yeah. Oh, damn! I accidentally got disconnected.
I crashed.
But no, I mean, in all honesty, none of us would be here if it wasn't for your guys' grand idea of starting the boxing league to begin with. And now it's just kind of mutated into this huge thing.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling it's only going to get bigger from here.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Jack's been working on a few things in the background, so which I'm so excited if everything, goes to plan. You're all going to be in a very, very good place. Let's just say, and that's that's all I can say on it. I'm afraid.
Yeah, because unfortunately we can't have no more sneak peeks other than what Jack already gave us.
No,
So when do
no.
you guys might be able to tell everybody? Like, what's your wait time? You just waiting to hear back from people, or?
Waiting to hear back, and also waiting for January the 3rd to get here.
Oh, okay.
January 3rd's already booked out, and we're already set in stone. We just haven't passed the flyer out.
Damn.
So I guess kind of going on that, do we want to talk about the last event?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all ears. Yeah.
So we had an action-packed last event of the season. In one of the rare occasions, was not competing. I was actually up in the stands, and I got to watch the action unfold. And the fight card was awesome. Every single fighter in that ring, win or lose, showed a lot of heart. Um, the way I was thinking, we could just go down the card and anybody that wants to go through and give their thoughts on it. I mean, I'm all ears. Let's see. Our first match was Onyx versus Ori, I believe it was, and I think that was Onyx's first professional fight. Um,
If I remember correctly, that fight was brought on mostly because of some background comments.
Oh yeah. That fight. So how we was able to get that fight in? Um. So both fighters were originally KBCL fighters, right? Um. They did some amateur fights. Again, I think they had like one or two Emmy fights before each other. I'm not really too sure on that. Um, it pretty much kind of come down to it, Like Onyx, his gym, Doghouse Promotions, they are pretty much in business with us. They've had a couple of their fighters come out and do events for us. So, like as an owner to owner kind of situation, I was like, "Hey, Onyx, like, if you could have a fight, who would it be and why?" And he said Ori. They've had some fights with each other. It's not like a beef rivalry kind of situation. It's more friendly rivalry, right? Because in the world of boxing, you have your beef and then you have your friendly beef. Um, and he was Jack, I want Ori. So I contacted Ori. I was like, Ori, when you want to fight Onyx? And he's signed me up. So what we did was we was able to get the fight signed up. Throughout actually midways of that, Onyx received a DM from Ori on Instagram, to be honest. And what that actually was about was Ori sent him a DM and was like, "Hey, do you even fight really, or you just take pics?" So I think what it was Ori was trying to hype Onyx up. Um, Onyx took it that like, hey, like I'm seriously ready to fight, and they got in the ring. You can tell there was a little bit of nervous on Onyx side. Him coming into the spotlight after over a year, and it was a really good fight. Them two went both to points, right? Um, I would say that Ori was a lot more comfortable than Onyx. And it was just the fact that, besides the fact of the little hiccups of the jumps and the flies around the ring, um, it still
I would
turned out
agree
to
with
be a pretty good fight.
Mm, it was a really good fight to watch.
I would say the entire event was a whole nail biter.
Oh my God, you
If
ain't
I'm being,
kidding. I was in the
yeah,
event.
yeah, oh yeah, and we'll get to yours there shortly.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm sure we will.
we got to think about it like this, though, right? No, November, November 1st, right? That was the first event that every bout went to points. There was no
Mm-hmm.
quick knockouts, no quick TKOs. You know what I mean? Like they it was all out war, and that's the thing I think that had everybody on the edge about because it was so close to end of points with each fight that it was like who's going to take home the win.
I agree. um, Man, that one for Onyx, I really hope that if he continues his career, he keeps at it, and I'm sure he'll be a force to reckon with in the future. I mean, he's already been in the ring before, as you said, and um, if he does come back and fight, and quite possibly with Cryptic, I look forward to seeing what he's got. Same
Oh
with
yeah.
Ori. I faced Ori let's see, Grid Games. That fight went down to points. That was at a qualifier. I think it was Wolf that took me out in that one. Yeah, he gave me a pretty good run for my money in that one. I haven't seen too much of. I've never faced Onyx sparring or otherwise, but Ori, he's no joke.
That was that definitely was. In fact, every fight. I know we're kind of going through them one by one, but that was the first of the edge of the seat. Um, and like I say, like Jack covered already, there was no clear, "Oh, well, this one's dominating," or anything like that. They were all very close matches. Um, but yeah, Ori done well. He was, a bit nervous. Had it been some time before he was actually in the ring officially, but he done really, really well, and so did Ori. Um, both of them, both of them played out really well. All the fighters did on that night, but that definitely set the bar for the rest of the evening for sure. That one did.
I guess moving right along, we had Trayvon and Wolf. That one, I think, that one came down to points.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one. That
Yeah.
was a really good
That
one.
was an excellent one. That was
Yeah.
Very good one.
Wolf. Every time, whenever Trey put him down, he got right back up and kept at it, and that showed a lot of heart. I think Trey, like I said, every fighter showed a ton of heart in that ring, and it's the same in RL box. I will say that it's the same in RL boxing as in virtual boxing. There are no cowards in boxing. Um, it takes a lot of guts getting in the ring and trying to show your worth in a sense. It,
Trey,
it, it was it was anybody's game with in that bout, I would say.
Trey has really like stepped his game up, and that evening it showed. Like you say, there was no kind of letting down, and like you say, when Wolf went down, he was right back up on it again. But Trey just was a stronger man that evening, and he got the result he deserved, in my opinion.
Most definitely, and that's the thing about it as well. Is like, so let's go back and look at Wolf's started career. Right when Wolf first popped up, Wolf pretty much was almost untouchable. Right, was really good in sparring, the whole 9 yards. We didn't see him for at least maybe a month or so, a couple months, and whenever he came over to sign, I could definitely say that he had a lot on his hands. Um, Again, whenever it comes to fighting at Cryptic, you're going to face people that have been training since day one. Um, People that's trained since day one. And then you're going to have people that are different skill levels, right? So let's say, like for an example, putting Wolf and Josh in the ring together, right? Definitely would be a very hard match for Wolf because Wolf doesn't have the veteran skills that Josh Dalton does, right? Or for an example, Lewis, right? You've been training a lot in the gym. Same for you, Kyle. Everybody's skill level is different. And then seeing Wolf and Trey, because Trey's actually was coming back from a losing streak. And I don't know if y'all know or not, but I think Trey's on a 2 win streak so far. Um, and with him being on a 2 win streak and him coming back, Trey's had a lot to prove to people. So whenever we actually set that fight card up, the fight card was originally Trey versus Quinn Ray because they had a good like little bit of beef here and there. Um, and then whenever Quinn Ray caught the injury in a workout session, whenever we reached out to Wolf, Wolf was down to take it. I would say that Wolf has a lot of heart because he'll fight anybody, but that's the same as Trayvon. And being able to commentate the fights and sit back and seeing on our angle, like them, they definitely had one hell of a night for fighting. That's for sure.
Amen. Amen. I guess that leads us to our first of two title matches of that night. We had Illy versus the reigning champion Nuno Bison. That one, oh, I will say it here. I think the women's fights are arguably more violent looking than when the men fight. That's just me putting
it's
it out
brutal.
there.
It's brutal.
I can definitely agree. Because let's think about it, right? Going over Nuno's records, Nuno only lost, I believe, like one fight at Cryptic. Um, I believe Nuno's record was like 7-1, something like that. But then again, you have Illy, which is well over 30 fights. And if you could tell, they actually, because see, everybody fights in an exhibition, right? Is a lot different than a title fight. Whenever you're fighting title fights, it's like something extra. You know what I mean? Like the gold. You got to have the gold. And if y'all go back and rewatch the clip, they actually slugged it out quite a few times with each other. Um, Again, not just because I'm an owner position, but even if I was an owner, I couldn't really tell you who would have won that fight. Whenever these cards get put together, my personal opinion is it's a no prediction because I don't know. It's very skilled based matched up, and anything can go in that. So them two definitely had a lot of exhibitions. Even maybe have one or two against each other. But that night, you can like even as a fan point of view or a fighter, any kind of point of view, you could tell that that them two fighters were ready to go all out for that belt. It was very different. Like I really don't know how to explain it. It was just like a different kind of energy, more of a slug. Like they were just slugging
Yeah,
it out.
the energy for that fight was definitely different from watching Nuno and Illy fight any other time or any other event.
was it was intense all the way to the end, and if it weren't for um, the knockdown with, I believe it was 16 seconds left in the bout, um, I mean, even still, I think that would have been hard to judge there. That's,
Well,
both ladies gave it their all in that one, and I think it came down to just who wanted it more.
oh yeah, well that's the thing. Whenever Illy got the knockdown on Nuno, that was pretty much what sealed the deal because you only had like 4 or 5 seconds at that point, and it would be really hard to get a knockdown with that because you got them at the 10 second, get up, um, or whatever, how many taps you have. Like you have 10 seconds to get up, and whenever you're like five left, you're already so beat up. Whether it's a chin damage or body damage, you had to regain, and it's like it's pretty much you're pretty much willing to throw the fight at that point because whenever as a fighter, I mean y'all are fighters as well. Like once somebody's down from a stomach, usually it's kind of like your first go to unless you go for the head. And then whenever both of us beat down, there's only so much blocking you can do, and that's when it kind of relies on your footwork. But five
Yep.
seconds left, that would be too hard to try to pull off, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess are we ready to talk about the one that everybody's talking about?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
All right, you ready, Lou?
Sure.
All right, we had Lightning Lou Gofeller versus the Mad Dog Josh Dalton. I would say from a spectator's standpoint, both equally matched, and I think Lewis, win or lose, you showed that hey, you can stand with the best. You are one of the best
1 point, fellas. Just one.
by 1 point.
But like I keep telling you, you went 5 rounds with Josh and didn't once land on your ass. Not many
I could
people
tell.
can do
I
that.
am gonna say this. I'm not worried about it because the next time he is not winning. He's not going to get up. Okay, that's just bottom line.
2026,
Well, I
folks. You
want
heard it here.
to, yeah, I want to add on to. I mean, in all honesty, right? Like this is how I look at it, right? And it's good for both sides. Josh, Josh is currently 5-0, if I'm not mistaken. He hasn't been beaten. He's defended the belt 3 times, right? But in all honesty, as Roy Lewis, for yourself, from my opinion, right, commentating the fight, Josh is the only person that you've lost to in the CBL,
Right.
right? The first time you fought him, I believe it was what, first round, second round.
No. No, 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 no. The first time I fought him, we went almost to the fifth round until the board blew up when I knocked him on his ass. Excuse my language. Board blew up. I don't know if I hit him too hard or what. But board blew up. We decided to do it again, start the match over. And he ended up getting me in the first round of that redo. So it was technically a full 5 rounds.
For sure. Well, I mean, to be honest, right, compared to, all right, well, then let's go back and revisit, right? So, with the board situation, it had its complications. You went to 5 rounds, but then you got knocked down the first one, right? But the second time y'all fought, it was only a 1 point win that he had. I would say my personal opinion is really big because that's not, you learned a lot from the first fight, then the second fight. It's just kind of one of those fights that you wish you could forget. Like the question you asked me, if there was a fight I could forget, right? Um, but it still puts that you are still one of the top fighters for Cryptic, the hands down. Um, just over this year, kind of seeing everybody fighting and they're progressive and stuff like that. I mean, for an example, Kyle here. I mean, Kyle, you gained the Category 5 nickname, right? I mean,
Heck yeah.
yesterday, that's the thing is too. Like everybody that came in and fight, it's like you can remember yesterday you didn't know how to throw a punch. Same thing for Daisy yourself. Like you didn't know how to punch yesterday, but Dynamite, right? You got the nickname somehow, and the somehow you got it was a fast knockout. Same thing with you, Kyle. Like you come in and that's the thing about it is like whenever you have match cards up and you see in people's progressions over the years, a lot of people may ask, what is the hardest part of a boxing venue, right? And this is maybe a bias on my personal opinion. It isn't the coordinating. It isn't fighters call out any of that. If anything, it's mostly commentating. If you think about it, because commentating comes with so many different factors, keeping the crowd hype, checking in with fighters for the quote unquote security piece, making sure they're all good, which that's kind of also falls into coordinate, but it also falls into commentating, right? Just in case if something happens with a fighter that may have tripped backstage and may need to quickly ice pack their knee or something, right? Um, but that's the thing about it for us, that's on the commentating booth. Because Fur and Candace, they have front seat ringside. They see the fight, but then from the commentators as well, it's like all of us pretty much kind of seeing the fight really up front. I know it holds a lot on y'all shoulders because y'all are fighters, right? Um, and that's the reason why like we work really hard to make sure that we try to, I guess you could say like announce the right things, like for an example, records or previous fights, the whole 9 yards, because it is a pretty big job. Um, and yeah, 2026 definitely is booked out for the third at least. Um, but I could definitely say the last event that we had was the way that was the last event of the year for us was really really big, really big. Everybody went to points. Everybody fought their hardest, and in all honestly, I'm just ready to see y'all in action in 2026. To be fair, I think that y'all going to keep growing. You're going to keep learning. Going to be mentors to new boxers. You name it.
Yeah, and with this last event, I don't think there would have been. I don't think I would have had any other way of closing out this season. It was. I said, this
It was
was.
definitely an epic night for sure.
Oh yeah.
And it just leaves for more epicness to
Mm-hmm.
come. I mean, you end out a season that way, everybody's going to be just chomping at the bit to see how the new season starts.
Oh yeah, and this is something that we spoke about as well, right? For 2026, I'll give another teaser to it. So as we pretty much as we all know, some fighters here are above the 10 fights. Some fighters are below the 10 fights, right? Um, Another the thing that we can speak on is with the third, it's definitely an event you don't want to miss out. There's three title fights on the line, right? And then we have a main legendary fight. Two legendary fighters coming back to fight. And I know that's maybe questioned some to like, oh well, on the third, everybody wants to get into a fight event, right? But whenever it comes down to setting up championship fights and stuff, that could also play a very big role whenever it comes to a roster, because whenever you have so many people on the roster, everybody wants to get a piece of the pie, right? Which is nothing wrong with that at all. But there's potentially of a possible new belt, right? That's possibly in the makings. We haven't discussed it as a team yet, but that could be your second teaser. And whenever this belt releases, everybody's going to want that belt, and I can promise you that.
That sounds
And
interesting.
guess we gotta wait and see
Very.
now.
Oh,
Yeah, that just makes you want to know even more. So, starting out 2026 with three title fights and a legendary fight. I mean, I guess all we can do now is wait for the flyer unless you want to drop the names.
I would say that the flyer, well, probably if you drop in the flyer, I would say first week of December. What do you think about that? We talked
Yeah.
on it a little bit. So probably the first week of December, because we got to think about it as well. Whenever it comes to 2 days after the New Year's, we need to see if people will be around and stuff like that, you know. So it's kind of like one of those things that for people that already for sure had their schedule cleared, it was like, okay, well, we're going to start this with a big bang for the first 2026.
True.
So, that being said, now I have to wonder, are you nervous about starting off the opening season with such a big event of three titles and a legendary fight? Like, are you going to be able to follow up with that kind of energy throughout the rest of the upcoming season?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Because this is another thing too that we're seeing as cryptic is, for an example, right? For the female side, we know it's kind of been a little bit slow getting some female fighters on board, right? We've actually got a big wave of both men and women fighters coming into cryptic now, to where now a lot of the men had their focus, but it's also now time to also bring the women's side of the focus as well. So we're definitely, I would say 2026 will be more explosive than 2025. The energy is going to be more. Fight cards is definitely going to be more hyped up. Um, and again, like for yourself, Daisy, me and Lewis spoke here and there. Me and First spoke. Me and Candace spoke. And I know for 2026 as well. Definitely plan on having you out there fighting as well. Because whenever you fight, you bring the energy. The dynamite comes out. And honestly, definitely ready to see some of your fights as well.
I'm actually looking forward to getting back in the ring. I've been kind of, I've been a little lazy and staying away from it for the past week, but I'm itching. I'm ready.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And I mean, hey, it happens. Everybody needs a break or two. But in all honesty, hey, whenever it comes to the fight cards drop, I mean, y'all can pretty much know yourselves. I mean, usually when the first fight card's playing, usually we're already planning for the second one, because then that's when we're like, okay, hey, y'all have 2 3 weeks in advance. Do you want to take this fight? And that's what
Yeah.
pretty much kind of kept us like, and actually thinking about that. So this past year, right? Whenever we first started, it was, and for correct me if I'm wrong, it was one event, right? We had one
Yep.
event a month, and then we kicked up to two events a month, right? Well, two events a month. We then, whenever it was going for the second event, we didn't really have second event booked until maybe almost a week after that first event. So it's hot now because of all these fighters coming in. It's pretty much to say like, hey, we got this first event booked. You ready for the second one? Like it's kind of like as if as soon as you drop the first card, you want to drop the second card. What really pushed us to do that was because technically, I mean, let's look at it. Boxing has pay per view, right? Your championships are your pay per views, pretty much, and then your non title fights is non pay per view, right? Can still be pay per view, but see, the thing is, it depends on the fights because some fights on a non title would be more hype possibly than a champ. But it was kind of something that we came together and was like, um, fighting a title fight every 2 weeks that doesn't, or I'm sorry, two events a month that don't really help out, because as a fight, because the championship is being taken seriously, just like any other fight, but it's the fact of a gold on the line, right? Is you don't want to tire out your champions. You don't want them to get overstimulated, overburned out because they're doing championship fights back to back to back. So that's the reason I'm like, okay, well, how about once a month? And then that way it kind of separates because as new people's coming on the roster as well, they also get that exposure for the second event and then work their way up to them fighting in the first event of each month.
I mean, for real, fair enough though. But I just, I'm ready for the next event. I'm ready for the next season, and I'm sure these two guys on either side of me are too. And I'm pretty sure you guys probably have something up your sleeve for the Christmas event and stuff like that for us to kind of hang out and get together.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And that's things Christmas coming up, and that's another reason why we took the break like we did because everybody deserves a chance to just wind down. Again, 15 events in 11 months was definitely a big milestone achievement for us. And we didn't want to keep burning the fighters out. Does it kind of suck a little bit? Yeah, because it's like, you're so used to, okay, this event signed up, this event signed up, when is the next event? And we're only, what, 11 days into the 11th month. So yeah, it's definitely been on the edge of like, oh man, I just want to go and put this next fight card together. But it's definitely worth it, as people do have families on SL, they have partners on SL, and they just need to be able to take a break and relax and spend time with them. And then once it's crunch time to get back in to work, then it gives them that opportunity to come back to work.
Just to touch base on what you were saying, Daisy, you know me, you know Candice, and if there's a reason to have a celebration, then yeah, we'll be on it. So watch out for the Christmas period. We'll definitely be throwing something for you.
Of course.
Any reason to get the gloves off and
And the
be
gowns
scrubbed up
on.
well. That's it. Looking forward to it.
This was this was one heck to the end of this season, but the next one is only going to get bigger and badder, and
Oh, absolutely.
it,
Watch this space. That's it. Just watch this space.
heck yeah. Um, I guess that's a good way of closing us out tonight. Um, any other final comments from the hosts or Jack and Fur?
I think I'm all good.
Yeah, I think I'm all good.
I
I
want
don't.
to.
We don't want to keep you in suspense, obviously. But we just want everything to be perfect, right, and set in stone, so that we can come back with all the relevant information and work harder on, or work just as hard as what we have done up until now, and grow from strength to strength. But as soon as we know you'll be in the loop.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Well, I want to thank, on behalf of Lou, Daisy, and myself, I want to thank you guys for coming out, taking the time to come out and talk to us on this inaugural episode of The Punchline.
Thank you for having us.
That was
Oh, we appreciate it. Thank you again.
of course.
Wasn't that a great interview with the amazing founders and creators of Cryptic, Jack and Fur? Don't forget to stay tuned and come back for next week's episode when we get to interview the ever charming voice of Cryptic, Mike Mapp himself, and the businessman Trayvon Bennett. Should be good.